Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Deez. This is my workshop. Today is going to be a simple project. I think it's going to be a good project for beginners, or a good project for me to kind of practice some different techniques. Today we're going to work on a nylon V-block. It's not going to be anything fancy. It's going to be super simple. It's going to be just this basic piece of nylon that I squared up in the past. Someday I might make some bigger ones, but for now it's just going to be really small. And it's going to be, the idea here is going to be able to hold fairly small round stock, maybe aluminum, something that I don't want to mar up, or brass. Instead of using my steel V-blocks, I can use these nylons. I'm just going to make one set. It's kind of a trial run, kind of a practice run, and the setup is simple. I'm going to just cut a 90-degree angle using an end mill along the length of this piece, and then we'll cut it in half later, and we'll mill off the ends to make everything square. This piece is almost square. It's not completely 1-inch square. It's a little longer on one side than the other, but what I'm going to do is put my 90 on the longer of the two sides, and that's going to end up being the V. I think I'm going to make it double-sided. One side's going to have a deeper V, and the other side is going to have a shallower V for smaller stock. Here's the setup. I'm trying to do this as safe as possible. I know you never want to just try to squeeze a piece of stock on two angles in your milling vise. But what I'm trying to do is use this existing 90-degree angle that's in this angle block for cutting my sides that I want like this. And I think that's going to hold really nice and tight in here. But the real key is just making sure this is safe, making sure it's going to work where I have my end mill ready to go. And I think this is going to work out. I think I have enough Y travel to come over here and cut this with the end mill. Yep, plenty. When I start coming down, wherever I want, maybe an 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch at the top of here, same as the bottom. And then on the other side, I'm going to make a much more shallower V cut. So let's get our end mill mounted up in here. Well, before we do that, let's center this stuff up. There's my V block. There's my nylon. I think this is going to be pretty strong the way I'm working on this. I think that's going to hold. Remember, it is nylon. I think that's going to do just fine there. I have a 1/2 inch end mill, and I think that's going to work out really well for how I want to do this. When I start coming down in there, it's not going to hit this because I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap on both sides. So let's use that. We need our 1/2 inch collet, R8 collet. So we have our end mill in there, and what we're going to do is just do this entire piece from one side to the other until I have kind of the relief that I want. This is going to be the deep cut side, and then we'll flip it over and do the narrow cut side. Get our safety glasses on. Forward. Bring it down. I'm going to take a deeper cut this time. I think this end mill can handle it. Let's see how close we are. I think we're pretty close. Eighth of an inch. Eighth of an inch. I'm going to come down just a touch more and then that's good. All right, we're going to take this end mill out. We're going to use a smaller end mill for the other side because I don't want the groove to be nearly that deep, and it doesn't need to be this size, and I think I could hit the jaw if I try to come over too far. I'm going to go ahead and change that out to a smaller end mill. Use. I'll use this one. Next thing we need to do is take our piece out and flip it over. Here's our first side. Turned out pretty good. I like it. So let's flip it over. We'll do this side. So we're going to bring this down and we're just going to cut a really small V in this side. Actually, I think I might switch this out. This is a little bit too small. And I want it to be as wide as the end mill. Three-eighths. Kind of think I want to stop there. Just a really small chamfer for really small stock. I think I'm just going to stop right there. Otherwise I got to come down. Go there. And there. I need to run an end mill in the bottom of these V's in order to keep them from splitting and That way the 90 will fit down in there nicely. All right, we'll stop that. So that's the short side done. Let's clean this up and we'll keep going. Then I'll take all this out of here. Oops. And we'll square those up so we can run a really slight channel down in the bottom of these V's. That way when we do put stock in there, if we do square stock, it's not going to bottom out on the V and it'll square up better. What we want to do is go to our smallest end mill, as well as take all of this out and get this squared up so we can run a small little channel in the bottom of these V's. That turned out pretty good. Let's take the V block out of here. Get that out of the way. Let's get our parallel out of the way. So I'm going to switch over to a 2mm end mill. Really small, and I'm going to run that through the bottom of this groove. And I think that'll be just plenty wide. I broke the 3mm. We're going to go with the 2mm. And I think that's going to be just right. And give her. I also want to clean up these other chips real quick. And now we need to run I want some parallels in the bottom of this. Right in there is what we're looking for. What we need to do now is take this out of here, cut it in half, and then we need to face off all four of the external sides and make them all square. We're going to take the opportunity to use my stop. I'm going to get some smaller parallels, and we are going to mill off the ends of these if you remember, I've made a mark on those because I wanted the same ends on the same side. So what we're going to do is kind of get these in here, tighten them up, and then the only other thing we need to do, since I have the stop here, I'm also going to need some sort of, might be able to just use this here. But what we want to do is stop, get the parallels beyond that. We want just enough out here so I can run an end mill down the side of that and clear it up. And then we want a little bit more here. I think that's going to work. So, because we're going to clean this up, flip them over, and clean the other side up. So I think that's going to work. Let's go ahead and tighten this down. Haven't really used my stops yet, but here's a great opportunity. Push these up against that and tighten them down. So here's the setup. I've got this tightened down. I have my 1/2 inch end mill back in here, and we're just going to face this off until these two sides, this side is parallel. We're going to flip it over and we're going to do the other side. Let's get this thing turned on and get started. Let's get these flipped over and we'll do the other side. Okay. Much better. All right, let's finish this other side and get these things done. Other than cleaning up those burrs, I think we're about done. Let's get this out of the vise, and I'll bring you over to the bench and we'll clean these up and we'll just kind of do a review. Well, I think it's time to close out this video. Again, this was the video where we're making the nylon V-blocks, and inspiration was coming from these steel V-blocks that I bought. But I thought it'd be really cool and handy to have some for softer materials that I don't want to mar up using the steel version. Just kind of sacrificial or whatever the reason might be. I just thought I would, and plus it's good practice to make some V-blocks out of nylon. So that's what I did. I had already squared up some stock using, you know, just doing some practice in the past. So I thought I'd take that piece and make V-blocks out of that, and this is what we ended up with. The last thing we need to do is deburr or kind of clean off some of the burrs from the milling operation. So I'm going to do that real quick. Just kind of cut those off. Not too bad, but there's a few areas where I was kind of cleaning up the edge and it just left a little bit of a burr. So let's go ahead and get those cleaned up. There. All right, I got these cleaned up. There's our nylon V-blocks, and the reason I made these was so we don't mar up some softer materials, and these may come in handy for the milling vise. I got the larger side, just like with the steel jaws, for maybe a larger piece of steel or brass or whatever. And then we have the smaller side for maybe, let's say, a smaller tube. We can put that in there on the smaller jaws and either just use one of them or both of them and you know, get that out where we can do a milling operation on the end. That's going to hold these very nicely. And you know, we've also got the larger side, but that's not going to hold some of the smaller materials, so we made it a little bit of a universal fit. But these are going to come in really handy. Quite happy with these. I didn't mill any slots for clamping or any of that sort of thing, but I think these are going to be a great addition to the toolbox, and I'll have them for when I need them. I'm going to take a few pictures. I'm going to take a clip from my other camera so that I can show you close up on these things, and maybe you'll be inspired to make a set of these for yourselves. I want to close out this video with a closer shot of these nylon V-blocks. Again, these are the inspiration. These are my steel V-blocks. Very handy for holding material sturdy, whether it's round stock or square stock at an angle, whatever you want to do with these. They also come with these clamps, so I can clamp down the round stock or other material as I'm milling it. But I decided, at recommendation from other folks, but I decided to make a set of nylon V-blocks as well. And so these were my inspiration, and this is how it turned out. As you can see, I didn't put a slot in the side. I said that in the last clip. I don't really intend on using a clamp with these, but I wanted to make these in case I'm working with brass or aluminum or some material that I don't want to mar up. And I can put these in the jaw, in the vise, and clamp everything down and not worry about things getting marred up. Maybe it's threaded rod or something like that. But I went ahead and put in a relief at the bottom of these V's. These are 90 degrees. I made a small side for smaller diameter parts, as you can see. And I also made a larger side for larger diameter material. You know, if I wanted to mount something up that was larger, maybe this. And I made a matching set because it was easy enough to do. I had this piece of scrap. I thought, I'm going to go ahead and make that up, and I think this will work out. This is a fun little project, pretty easy to do. Great beginner project for anybody out there wanting to make something like this. And now I've got a really nice set of soft V-blocks to add to my tool arsenal and work on that next future project. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you are inspired by some of my videos. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody.